Welcome back to the Go Deeper podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the seasons of life. We're going to start you out on just like becoming an adult. I think maybe either when you're going through college or when you're graduating high school and going through that season of life first. And then we're going to progress into what life looks like in your 20s, what life looks like in your 30s. And now we're in our 40s with kids. So we're going to talk about all seasons, maybe what are some of the struggles we live through? What are some of the things we wish we would have known walking in that season? And maybe we did have like elders that were pouring into us that we just weren't listening to. But I think this will be like a deposit into hopefully a younger version of us that we can help meet you where you're at, help you navigate the season you're in, knowing that some of it's just part of life. I think you can walk into those hard moments in certain seasons and think it's you, and it's not. It's just a progressional growth and maturity. So let's first start off, Stephen, and maybe like the season of like figuring out who you are as a person. I think everybody thinks when you turn 18 and when you graduate, we all remember like graduation day. It was sometimes the last day we ever saw most of the people that we grew up with our whole life. And there's so much pressure on us to figure out like, what is it you want to do? Who are you going to become?
What are you majoring in?
What are you majoring in? What college are you going to? So let's each talk, because we had different lives at that time. Let's each talk about like what were the pressures we felt? What choices did we make? What, looking back at yourself too, I think, what are some choices you would have made differently too? So let's talk about that. I would say like 18 to 20, mid-20s.
You want me to start?
Season of life. Go ahead.
So, I grew up in the restaurant business. And so I'd felt that like I wanted to be in the restaurant business, but I also felt that pressure of like being in the family business. So I felt like if I leave my dad, what's going to happen to the restaurant? Which, looking back, I think anybody that grows up in a family business probably feels the same way. You almost feel like a sense of betrayal because now that I have kids, and Manny says all the time, Dad, I'm working at Super Fitness, which I love to hear that. But then I always tell Manny, I just want you to do your own thing or whatever you love. But then in reality, if he left me when he's older, it would probably break my heart. Like, just being honest.
We should have kept Manoli and
Yeah,
Manny
so I'm
here
like,
for this one.
But looking back, a lot of people don't know this. And I think I've told random people before, I wanted to be a police officer. And I had my application and all this, and my dad's friend was going to get me through academy. And then I think I could go through at 19 and come out at 20, give or take. And the pay back then locally with no college degree was terrible. And so I was making just as much, if not more, working at the restaurant, working a lot of hours. I was bartending, waiting tables and stuff like that. Because in the Greek world, you do it all, even when you're not 21 years old. And so but I still was doing the restaurant business because that's what I felt compelled to do. That's what I thought because I'm Greek. I need to do the restaurant. But fitness, as you know, was my passion. So I didn't know how to navigate that. And I definitely didn't want to go to college. So I think I was kind of in turmoil of like looking for the money / not knowing what I'm supposed to do / kind of feel like I need to do what my father wants me to do. And Dad never made me work at the restaurant. And in fact, at about 18 to 19 years old, we had a big family dispute between multiple family members, and I actually left the restaurant. And looking back, I always think that's probably the best thing I've done for the simple fact it gave me those 2 years, 3 years to learn from corporate America. I might not have been as successful in the gym business if I didn't learn from other people. So I think everybody's at that spot where they don't know what they're supposed to do. Some people's chasing the money. Some people's thinking, and honestly, you're just young and stupid. And
I don't think you're stupid. I think you just only know what you knew. Like you only knew the restaurant business.
Sure.
You hadn't seen anything else. So you just know, you just become what you're around.
Sure.
Right. And I think at that age, you have so much pressure on you from the outside world, and you're looking at what everybody else is doing. And maybe you see a little bit of success in your friends and you think, well, I should go do that too, because that's just what you're around. I think sometimes too, like the difference between you and I is you stayed here in Burlington, you stayed around your family business. That was kind of all you knew. I think one of the beautiful things to like get outside of your world at that age is it detaches you from maybe an environment that is all you know. and exposes you to so much more. And I think that's like the first time my mind was opened. Like I grew up in a town of one stoplight, like 500 to 600 people lived in this town, right? I graduated with 120 kids, very small school. Everybody knew everybody and everybody was related in some capacity. I had a very small mindset to what success could look like if I would have stayed in West Mansfield, Ohio. You were either a farmer or you worked at Honda, and there weren't many other choices than that. I went to school to be an interior designer and a finance person, but if I would have stayed in West Mansfield, Ohio, or where I was at, I would have limited myself. They're not interior designers in West Mansfield, Ohio. So I think there is a beautiful thing at that age of like getting out of your circle and seeing a bigger world and seeing the opportunities that are out there that you can possibly expand on. But I think the most important thing, and you were leaning into this, we grew up knowing and thinking what we wanted to be and what success was. But I think one thing that I'm grateful we both did is when we were in our early 20s, we started to listen to ourselves and we went and did what we loved to do. Like I loved real estate. I loved interior design, which like led me into real estate with a job that I got while I was just finishing college. You loved fitness. And you started like down the fitness track. It's not to say that those years before didn't serve us well.
Sure.
I mean, you are light years ahead in business because you grew up in business.
Sure.
So even though you didn't do the restaurant business, the amount of knowledge that you had at 18 or 19 years old is what it takes most 30 to 40-year-olds to collect.
Sure.
In the same amount of time.
Well, I was way ahead of my age, my time. I mean, I was running the restaurant for my dad and uncle at 15, 16 years old. I've told you this story. They would go out of town and leave me and trust me to lead people who were double my age.
And in today's world, do you ever see that happening?
No.
No.
But they knew I could do it.
Because they raised you up to do it.
And now you have a little me.
Oh, yeah.
That let's just say another 10 years, would you trust him?
I would trust Manny probably another 5 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because he knows. I mean, he knows what to look for.
How street smart is he?
He's very street smart.
And so that's what I'm saying. So
because he's been around it already.
Let's go into, all right, so that's our early 20s. We're figuring out real estate and I'm figuring out fitness.
But looking back, what would be the advice? Like, let's say 10 years from now, these are our kids.
Okay.
What advice would you give Manny and Sophia at that age?
At, let's just say the 18 mark?
Yeah.
First of all, I definitely think there's benefits in going and trying other things. I think that you also need to work for other people, not just mom and dad. So I left the family restaurant and a woman, I've told you this story, got me a job at 17 and 18 at Outback Steakhouse. And you had to go through almost I think it was like a month or longer, 6-week, almost like college. I couldn't believe it, to get the job. Once you was approved, you went through their little school. And I had never done corporate type restaurant business. And so I'm getting this job to wait tables.
Where you follow a system and process that's aligned with their brand.
Our family restaurant had no system and process, or it was different. It was the family way of doing things, which you wing a lot of it. And so I went there and I really understood it. And I was like, I took a lot of these ideas back with me to our family restaurant. It blew my mind because these type of companies spend millions of dollars to figure out the best way, the fastest way, how to do things. And so then it really changed my mindset on how I do things and why there's systems and process. And honestly, it was probably the best life skill I learned was working at jobs like that, because it fast-tracked me to realize, okay, there is a reason that we do it this way first, versus at the family business, we might have done that fourth because we don't know any better. And I think a lot of people, they don't venture out enough and learn. And honestly, during that time, I only took that job because I was having difficulty with family. And looking back, it was probably the best thing that happened to me. Same thing when I went and done that big gym promotion in Massachusetts. I was working at my cousin's gym and got this opportunity to do these gym promotions, went to Massachusetts, and the way I had to do things and structure things, it taught me life lessons that I would have never learned, that when I came back here, I was a beast in the fitness world by learning from others. So it's good sometimes to work for others and learn the process and then migrate elsewhere.
I think when you enter into your 20s, you almost have like this hardened shell around you, almost because like you're failing and you want to be successful. And you don't always like look up and open your mind till and even at 40, you can learn anywhere.
Sure.
There's many things that you and I like bring into each other's businesses. If you run a business, you can learn something from any other business of any type, anywhere in the world, or any other business owner. I think the more we've associated ourselves with other business owners, it's like you can take things and learn. And I think the biggest thing at 20 is you're in a state of feeling like you're failing because you don't just like wake up and make money. It's a struggle. Your 20s are a struggle financially.
100%.
And it's okay. I think it's good for you to struggle financially in your 20s. It's going to prove and show to yourself that you have the grit to work hard to become who it is you want to become. I think the advice I would give Manny and Sophia is just, I know your mommy and daddy have businesses, but like do what you love.
And not for the money.
And not for the money. And just keep doing it and be consistent and be persistent. And a business will like birth itself out of it. But I think so many people chase the money and then the money becomes a place of scarcity. And then people either quit or don't put forth full effort, or they settle for something that makes them just get by. And I moved to North Carolina in my 20s and pretty much started life over and didn't know a single person and decided I was going to go out and sell real estate and didn't have a sphere of influence and had to build a sphere of influence. But like I sold 0 houses my first year. But I look at so many agents right now in the real estate business and the market is a little bit harder and they're upset if they don't sell any houses in the first month or two. And I have to sometimes like slow down and say, I didn't sell any for the first year. 1 whole year, I made $0. You only fail when you give up and you have to keep going. There's like it's God is watching you and he has this perfect, amazing, prepared future for you, but he's testing your faith in it right now. And in your 20s, I think the best thing you can do is just be faithful, obedient, disciplined, and work your ass off. Because you usually don't have a husband yet. You usually don't have kids. And the one thing that you have that will become very limited in your 30s and 40s is time. When you and I met, we started working because of a life situation, but also just because it's who we were. We started working 7 days a week, probably 80 hours a week. And all of a sudden we took businesses that were at 0 or in the negative.
Well, we were building them.
We built them. We didn't start seeing the fruits of them, I would say, till our 30s.
For years later.
Yeah. But so many people give up.
Well, hear me out. You don't
settle.
You don't have the infrastructure.
No, you really don't know what to do.
People don't understand. Let's just say you made 50 grand, 75, 100, whatever. But you made the 75, but you had to dump 75 back into the business year after year after year. So bank accounts have 0.
Right.
And then credit cards might have a little on there too, because you're actually spending more than you're making, but you're constantly investing back into that business. Well, what people don't realize, there's going to come a point in time that you don't have to put it all back in the business anymore, but it takes years. I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. And people don't understand. When I started, for instance, just like you with real estate, I had no building, no forklift, no box truck, no trailers. So it started off, I remember buying my 6x12 trailer, buying a piece of shit F-150 from a sheriff's auction that we've talked about before.
Yeah. Humble beginnings is what they call
beginning. You talk about driving brand new Corvettes to an F-150 with a small motor. And anybody that knows me, I buy the biggest motor in any car, not because I like to drive fast, just because I like the power when I want it. People don't understand. You're building infrastructure. Then you got to have people. Good people are not cheap. So it's like, it's a building block process. And most people quit before they see the fruits, because it's what you said, in my opinion. You're getting tested. You're getting tested from obedience. You're getting tested from many different things. And then I hate to say this, you're getting tested by people. You're getting tested by the truck's going to break. The water pump's going to go out. You're going to blow a tire. There's a million things going to happen. This week, have I not had a million things test me?
Yeah, same. But here, looking back, and I think I said this to myself maybe in my later 20s when I figured it out. When you're going through that pressure cooker season of test after test after test, God is testing your faith and he's getting ready to promote you to that next level. But that's where people give up. They give up when it gets hard. They give up when they don't have a commission check for 2 to 3 months, or, you got to grind. What we did in our 20s was this. We were building the businesses while having other jobs that funded our life.
Well, let me tell people this. Do you remember when you done phone duty?
Every day.
And tell
All day,
people
every day.
it was for free.
For free.
So most people don't understand this. When I started in the gym business many, many years ago, we were paid $7 to $8 an hour to run it, to work the front counter. I didn't work there for the $7 to $8 an hour. I got a free gym membership. I hung out at the gym anyway. I enjoyed being there. So that 4 to 8 hour shift that I worked, I enjoyed it. It was like I was kind of getting paid to kind of like sit around, lift weights, talk to people, learn, pick the big guys' brains. It was fun to me.
And to me, phone duty was I was able to sit there and listen to the top producers and like be educated.
You're learning.
You're learning. You're in the environment that makes you learn.
Guess
Same
what I
thing.
was doing?
You're
I
learning.
was picking the guys that were double, triple my age. I was picking their brain about the biomechanics. Man, how did you build your traps? I remember back in the day, the dumbbell area at the gym, I could see the dumbbell areas right near the front counter. And people always ask me, this, like, dude, like, I think partly it's genetics, but how did you get your traps the way it is? And I would do sets every day for traps because I could do it right there at the front counter. And this is I'm talking 16, 17, 18, 19, almost like building abdominals. I don't work traps hardly at all anymore, but they'll always be there. It's like always been a strong suit for me. So my point is, it's like, I enjoyed being at the gym. It was not the money. And I don't think people I've heard many people, young people especially, say, oh, well, they didn't pay me enough, so I didn't take that job. But what would you have learned if you would have took that job that then could have went on your own?
For decades,
Right.
You would have poured back into you and made you millions.
Right.
And so I think if you're 20 years old and you're struggling, I'm going to tell you these two things. Go and do what you love. Chase the love of it. Don't chase the money. The money will be an abundant byproduct of it. If you win and master the seasons of overcoming that struggle, the tests that we had in our 20s, I feel like we started probably bearing fruit in our mid 30s, but we could have easily given up in our 20s. And in your 20s, fund your life from a daily job that you have, but go and build what you love. And when you build what you love, it pays off and you grow things. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in our 30s and now our 40s. But you can't give up. Do not give up in your 20s. Struggle, suffer, go all in. That's about the only time in your life that you fully have the most capability and time to go all in. You got to go all in your 20s.
Well, I'll say this too, because me and you joke about it now.
Yeah.
You know how I've said before, people ask, have we traveled? And I'm like, oh, no.
You got to sacrifice.
So that was the trade-off. So I had a lot of friends, they didn't have a lot of money, but they would just be traveling all the time in their 20s. Totally cool. I don't knock you, but that was the trade-off for us because we didn't have the money back then, so we didn't travel.
We had the money. It's okay. Let's talk about this. In your 20s, when you start to make a little bit of money, it's what you do with it that will exponentially compound. You are putting it back in the business.
We put it back in the business where some people would have took that 2-week vacation.
Yeah.
We chose not to. And then the reason I'm saying this, once we get into the 30s, now we have children in the 30s and 40s. We might have had the money to travel, but we couldn't travel because we're now having babies and we can't just leave the babies. So a lot of people don't understand there's definitely different seasons of life and it's how you want to set yourself up. All right. So now, Amber, we're, let's just say low 30s. Let's talk about that.
So we didn't get married till our early 30s. I was 33 and you were 31. 31. You were about to be 31. We got married in May. You were going to be 31. We started, I would say, just for numbers' sake, I was like 25. So I was 30. 2012, 2013 is where I started to like do well in real estate. And I would actually say put my adjusted gross income out of the negative in my early 30s. And I started to build a business. 2014, I had sold 65 houses by myself, which would have been 6 years. I was 31 years old, going to be almost 32. I had sold 65 houses by myself, got into listings that year, and grew my business to the point where I needed to grow a team.
Sure.
So if you're a business owner in your 30s, that you started in your 20s, or let's just say you're a business that's 5 to 10 years in and you're starting to grow your business to the next level, this is when you start to get to bring people into your business and you have
Leverage
to
yourself.
treat it like a business. Because before, you're an individual person doing the business. You get to start because of your income level and because you need to buy your time back. You start to leverage yourself in a way to scale yourself to a higher level, but you're also able to start like pouring into the lives of others, which feels so good, but it's also a responsibility. You can't just take days off. Usually because when you start the initial phase of your business, like you're still the main engine on the bus, driving the bus. You know, you're still the driver of the business. You're not stepping out in any way. And you're really the person that's still that main producer of income. And we were both probably in that season of life together where Super Fitness used gym equipment was birthed next level.
It was going to the next level, yeah.
I remember looking at you like, I think we might need some employees. I think we need to like, me and you cannot do this anymore.
Well, that was, if you remember, so let's call it that 2012 time, because me and Amber bought our first house together.
Yeah.
I was already selling a lot of gym equipment.
Yeah.
We were going all over, but if you remember,
weren't treating it like a business though. It was like a side hustle.
You remember
still.
I had the gym, multiple warehouses, the storage beside the gym.
Yeah.
And now we got this big garage. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got all this space, which in reality was no space compared to what I do now.
So to rewind, we pull in, let's just talk real estate and gym equipment mended together. We pull in to see this house. Stephen actually found it. You used to say that a lot to me. You haven't said that in a while. But Stephen actually found it on
Well, you didn't want to go see it. The photos
were
shit.
horrible.
And I said, let's just ride by.
Yeah.
It didn't even show a garage on the listing. You remember that?
And you also knew where it was, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was a Graham address. And at the time, Graham was not popping. And I was like, I don't know about Graham. Well, we pull in the driveway, and all he sees is a 3-car garage and a detached garage. And he's like, sold.
That's it. Sold. I'm like, home gym. Like, I didn't know what we were going to do with it. But I was thinking from the equipment standpoint, at least I could use the detached.
So Super Fitness used gym equipment was really birthed out of our first house we bought together.
Like the next level.
The next level of it, where we could go buy a whole 3-car garage and a detached garage with the gym equipment and have somewhere to put it. Before it was like
us a fortune.
A few pieces in and out of our gym space.
Yeah, and the storage. And then I think I had Cardinal steel 4 bays you know, during that time.
Yeah. But it really allowed us during that time frame to take our businesses to the next level. And it's where you scaled your business and brought people into it. I scaled my business and brought people into it. We got married in our 30s. And that's when we really started to build a very strong foundational base.
But if you remember, I feel like we had the restaurant back then.
Yeah,
so me and Amber had bought a restaurant during this time.
2012 to 2015
I'm still doing,
were like hard years.
We sold our nightclub in 2012, and I'm still doing a few parties here and there, throwing the event. And I feel like we had no time back then.
I think late 20s, early 30s, you figure life out a little bit. You go through a season of like losing friends.
Yeah.
It's just kind of what happens, especially if you're like in growth mode and
not
you're trying
to.
Not because you want to, but you're just like in growth mode and you're trying to do things. And we didn't make time to hang out with them because we were so busy about building
a lot
businesses.
of them had kids.
A lot of them had kids and were married, and that was unrelatable to us. Our kids were our businesses.
Well, and then any trip we took, like remember we used to go to Mr. Olympia back then.
Yeah.
It was a business trip.
It was a business trip.
Even though we're
still living that life.
We're still living. We just got back. But at the end of the day, that's something that I'm very much into. I love going. But most of our trips are not real estate or bodybuilding.
Or
honestly.
we were going to Ohio to see my family.
Yeah.
That's about the only. And that, you know, having family that lives far away, it does take away the ability to travel as much because you travel to see them versus like traveling for enjoyment.
So if y'all are watching this, y'all need to come see us more.
Yeah.
Because I've went for 17 years in a row. Okay.
They come here a lot too now, especially now that we have
But
it was
30s, I think the 30s are great because you've got a little more business established. You're more mature as a person.
You can breathe a little bit more financially.
Right.
And then that's when you start to really maybe like grow more as a person in your 30s and become more confident in yourself. You've overcome some challenges.
You're
so
better
you
at
walk
what
with a
you
little
do.
better. Yeah. You walk with a little more confidence. We got married, which I think was a blessing in our 30s. We decided we needed to have kids. It's like, why are you building these businesses if for what? I think kids gave us a purpose.
Well, I want to preface this because for men, and some women are like this too. So I personally don't think I was ready at all in my 20s for marriage. I think it's can be man or woman dependent. And I think a lot of people are not, because me and you have seen later in life when people hit their 40s that got married super young.
We just needed Jesus sooner
Maybe.
in our
Yeah.
20s, and I think we probably could have been ready.
But at that point, I truly feel like that we were mature enough to handle certain situations within business
Yeah.
that I might not have been mature enough at 22 to handle those things. For instance, in my early 20s, I was very hot-headed.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just fly off. Oh, you don't like me? And I would just fly off at the handle aggressively. Now I'm going to try to talk it out.
Well, in any business, even in this phase of life, you have to have thick skin to be a business owner.
Yes.
Because you pour your heart. I remember I would see it from you, which would help me understand myself a little more. But when you pour your heart and soul into something financially, emotionally, when you've sacrificed life, and then you have this little person that wants to come in there and just throw darts at you
Or nag you.
and they have no skin in the game, nor have they ever done it themselves. Like, it will irritate you to no end. And that's when you got quick tempered, because you were just protecting
Right.
what you had sacrificed so much to build. And in your 20s, you were not good at that.
No.
In your 30s, you became a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Your 40s, you're much better.
I think I'm much calmer.
But
now.
even in your 30s, there were some times
Well, and it's called
you would be like, go talk to them, Amber.
well, I'm passionate.
Yeah.
And even protecting you many times.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can name stories and we won't even talk about it. It's a restaurant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That
there's
restaurant
been,
like to be the death of both
but
of us.
also, I mean, I hate to say this in real estate. If I hear somebody that said
yeah,
something about my wife,
Yeah.
like there's always two sides to the story.
Yeah.
And I normally don't play favorites.
There's also a level of professionalism, too, that people need to
Correct.
keep in business. And that's something you learn over time.
Correct.
I think in your 30s, you begin to learn people more.
Mm-hmm.
You learn your emotions more. You learn through failure. You learn what's important, what should trigger you and what shouldn't trigger you, and which is part of the business. I
So-
think at first you take it personally, but then you realize, like, this is part of doing business, and this is what comes with it.
So I think now the most important part we probably need to talk about, Amber, is life. Let's just say in the 40s, we can't discuss 50s because we're not there.
Yeah.
But let's just say the part of life that most people want to hear that's maybe a little more established, and this can relate, I think, to 40s and 50s, because you're a little more established. Maybe your kids are middle-aged or teenagers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
So I went through a season, I would say mid-30s. I was 36, 37, having kids, where personally and professionally, I don't want to say I had to pause, but I wasn't doing 100 houses. I was doing like 60 houses, which is still a lot for most people. But I had to go through a season as a woman of saying, it's okay to be a mom right now. It's okay to enjoy these years with your kids. Lo and behold, COVID came when we had a 18-month-old and a 6-month-old. We went straight into COVID, which praise God, it allowed me grace to spend more time with my kids. But there's a season when you have kids that as a woman, you're going to go to 2 or 3 years where you don't have the mental capability to do more than what you're doing, because you're sleep deprived, you're producing milk, your body's hormonally all over the place, and it's not usually a time you can go all in business. So there was a time, I would say, from like 2018 to 2000 and probably 21, 22, where I was still working very hard. It's not nearly the level of hard that I work now, but I was such an in-present mother. Our kids did not go anywhere till they were 3 and 4 years old. So I was able to be there and be a mom. So I went through a season of like stepping back from my business a little bit, not being in like growth mode. We're doing more than we did this year. Like, I just stepped back. The business still did really, really good. I believe God will reward you if you stay obedient to where you're supposed to be. And in that season, I was supposed to be obedient to the kids and to you. And I think when we had kids, what did that do for you as a man? Like, what did it trigger in you in that season?
Well, that's what I was about to say. So you probably saw it in me. I had completely, from the time that I saw the child, my diet changed.
Yeah.
My workouts changed. My mindset of driving a car 180 mile an hour changed. It's like, oh man, I can't be stupid. And when I say stupid, every man's got or woman's got a wild side. But when I say I'm a little more calculated,
Yeah.
for rightfully so. And then I went really all in on business. Not that I wasn't already, but I didn't have anybody to think about for future. besides you.
Kids give you a depth and a purpose to life that
Right.
you don't have until you have kids.
Right.
And that like brings something out of a man, especially right when the child is birthed. I
Sure.
think it came out of me a little bit later,
Mm-hmm.
but it's, you do things, you go through a season where you work hard and you build success. And then you go through a season once you have kids and it's like, you're doing it for such a deeper, more generational purpose.
Sure.
And I think we're in a season now where like, we're not doing things even for just our kids. We're doing it for them, but we're doing it for like our kids' kids. And we're doing it for others to make an impact. We're walking into a season where money eventually has a diminishing value, and you start to value, what is it that you can do for others? How can you, the employees that work for you, how can you grow them more as people? How can you grow them more as leaders? How can you pour into their family? Not just financially, but like their well-being, their faith. Do they love Jesus? Do they believe in Jesus? Are they, in all the ways? Do they understand finances? You grow them up and they start to make a little bit money. And if they've never been around or seen a healthy relationship with money, if you're a leader and you have a healthy relationship with money, like you should teach them a healthy relationship with money. So we're in a season now where we're just more aware. It's less about us and it's more about everybody else. What can we do to serve others? What can we do to pour into people? Whether it's people within our businesses or just people the Lord brings across our path, we're being a little bit more obedient and saying like, if we have the knowledge, we should be giving it away. We shouldn't be holding on to
Well, I
it.
think we turn a lot of things down that involve money sometimes.
Yeah.
What me and Amber have the ability, we get a lot of things thrown at us,
Yeah.
whether it's investments or real estate or gym or whatever, to franchise, partner, all kinds of things,
Yeah. Go on trips, do these things.
Yeah.
And
And
it's,
me and Amber honestly turn them down a lot of times that could technically make us money because it's just maybe our children. We want to be at the football games and we can't do everything. And I think that's the stage in our 40s. And now here's the crazy part. When we were in our 20s and 30s and all of our friends, let's just say were similar age or a little older than us, had the children. Now their kids are
yeah, they're
grown.
grown. Yeah.
And me and Amber have 2 little kids. And so we now, the people we used to hang out with, we don't get to see them a lot either. And so it's crazy how just
Life
things,
ebbs and flows.
yeah.
A lot of our friends now are our friends because they have kids our age. So we're definitely in a season of I don't want to say I'm probably one of the older parents out of the group of people that we kind of hang out with by like 5 or 6 years, maybe. It's not a bad thing, but we're definitely in a season of just growing ourselves deeper, pouring into ourselves more, staying healthy because we are older parents. We're very in tune with our bodies. We're regulating our hormones. We're into health. We're into longevity, both exterior, but mostly interior too. We're in a season of just making sure that we're using our time wisely. Time's important. I think turning 40, there's something that happens to all of us where we're 40 years old.
Half our life's over.
Half our life's over. What are we going to do with the rest of it? And how do we move with more purpose and intention? And what can we do to give back more and make a bigger impact? I lost my dad at 40 and he was only 61. So I think that probably threw us into this mindset at a much deeper level.
But to go back to that, and I've seen it with my own parents,
Yeah.
as people get older, especially I feel like in that like 55 to 65 range, you'll see them less worried about money.
Yeah.
They'll downsize homes.
Yeah.
They'll do all these things.
Simplify life.
They simplify life. And sometimes I used to question my own father.
Yeah.
Like, Dad, why don't you have that fire? Or like, why don't you want to do this? Or why don't you want to do that? And then as I get older,
Yeah.
I realize like it's not all about the money.
No.
Like I just want to like make sure I make time to do this over here. So I have to like, okay, I know I could go make this sell or do this, but I can't.
I think if we were savages and if we didn't have kids, our businesses would probably be double or triple or what they are. But being double or triple of what they are and making more money does not bring you more fulfillment
No.
and does not bring you more peace in life. And I think some people never realize that and they never slow down. Their identity becomes their business. We were on that path until we had kids.
Mm-hmm.
Our businesses were our identity, and they still are in some regard. But we're in a season now where we're detaching away from that a little bit and saying, like, God is putting something more in store for us. We're not just gym equipment and real estate anymore. We're bigger than that. And here we are doing this podcast. But having kids is what propelled us to like go deeper and find those things within inside of us and like walk in our faith more and just be more obedient to that. And it's birthed so many more amazing experiences. I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, we've had more amazing godlike moments in our life than we've ever had in the rest of our life.
Well,
All together.
I'll end this episode with this, and you can chime in. What has amazed me over the past few months is everybody, because we share socials, meaning like she's on my social a lot, I'm on hers. And by the way, everybody tells us don't do that, but we do it anyway because we don't give a shit about the algorithm and stuff like that for what people think. I want people to know I'm married. I want people to know she's involved in my life. I don't care anything else. I don't care about clicks and views and likes and all the bullshit. But I'll say this, since we started the podcast and more of us speaking on our socials, for instance, when we were just in Vegas and 1 million people want to come up and talk to me about the gym equipment, but you saw it because they talked to you too. It is amazing how many people come up to us 3 o'clock in the morning and like, man, I love that you've put yourself out there and I love what y'all talk about. I love what y'all stand for. I love this, and heartfelt messages. And I think that was not something we would have probably done in our 20s. We would have wanted to be different people. I would have wanted to be like showing off the sports car
We
or
were
the watch.
head down. You would have been a lot more, you're selfish in your 20s.
Yeah.
You should be. I think when you get to be 40s, you become unselfish and you become more aware of like the impact and the seeds you can plant in other people that you should plant in other people. The most beautiful thing is seeing the impact of the seeds planted, but knowing that people are watching and feeling it because we've walked it and they feel our emotion and they feel our energy. And we could have very much just kept our head down and not have been doing this.
Sure.
But like something makes you say like, look up and go help who you used to be. That you're most equipped to help the person you used to be. And we're just in that season of life and it fulfills us. It's like, this is, somebody said to us, I think it was when we first went to Utah, somebody said, you need to be thinking about when you're on your deathbed, what's going to matter. And it's not the money. It's not what you did. It's the lives you impacted and the love that you made people feel. And I think that means something now, post-COVID, when we all went into our little bubbles and we weren't connecting and we weren't putting ourselves out there and we went backwards really in society. And I think we're now starting to come out of it. Like people want to go deeper with people. People want to connect more. People want to be seen as humans. They want to connect with you. They're not buying gym equipment. They're buying Steven. That's what you want.
Sure.
So you have to put yourself out there. So if you're in a season of like battling it, do it. You just feels uncomfortable because you haven't done it enough. This podcast felt uncomfortable at first. And here we are.
The reason we resonate with people, and I'll end it with this, is we have walked it. Every story we tell is factual. We did it, lived it, walked it, breathed it, walked through the fire, whatever you want to call it. And
blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, literally blood, sweat, and tears. I've about lost it financially 10 times over, made it back, could lose it again. We're not perfect people. We're really imperfect people trying just to do the right things, but trying to make impact on the world. And I think that's why so many people write us and they're like, hey, we felt what you said. Or when we get emotional on here, y'all, we're reliving the story. And so I think that was the hardest thing for me at first is to put that out there because I didn't want somebody to think, oh, he's not a man, because you're still going to get hateful comments no matter what. So anyways, if you like this podcast, please like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.